What's going on YouTube? It's Jeff Toffner here on episode 24 of the Glorious Podcast. Probably the biggest podcast / video I did on this channel in its 1 year entirety. This is the SummerSlam 2017 review. And oh boy, was this show it was 7 hours plus long. It was long, let's just say that. Reason being I didn't do the review last night. I had the worst headache after the show. This is what happens. I had the same problem with WrestleMania. I felt like crap. It was just like so much wrestling. It was just like legit. Like I legit got a headache from just staring at the TV for like 7+ hours. But it was 7 hours. Let me just say 7 hours too long. One thing, it didn't need to be this long, guys. It did not need to be this long. They did not need to make it so damn long. And I mean, this just shows why. I mean, let me get it out of the way first. Get it out here in the beginning. NXT was better in my opinion, and NXT killed it, and the reason being NXT was so much better than SummerSlam is because NXT was 2.5 hours long and SummerSlam was like 7+ hours long. It was short and simple. NXT, SummerSlam, it had good stuff on it. Don't get me wrong, there were good things that happened on SummerSlam last night, but there was just so much filler. It almost felt like an episode of Raw in a way, because they just felt, it's almost like they put themselves in this spot, just like what they do every week with 3-hour episodes of Raw. They put themselves in this spot where they have to fill 7 hours of wrestling, and just, it's like, they can't even barely do it. But they didn't need to do it this much. They overdid themselves once again. In a negative way, not a good way. I could see if it were like 7 hours of entertainment, that would be crazy, but that's never going to happen. The pre-show was just too long. They didn't need it. Let's get right into it. Let's just get the pre-show out of the way, because I could really go off about the first match on the pre-show. The Miz and the Miztourage take on the Hardy Boys and Jason Jordan in front of about nobody. I was laughing so hard, and I felt so bad for everyone in this match, though. I was laughing at the fact that how stupid WWE is when it came to this match here, because they didn't even let the fans in the arena. The pre-show starts, and they're outside. They have cameras outside the arena, and it is packed out there. There's people everywhere out there. It's like they still haven't let them in, but they're already doing entrances. Some people were in there. A few people got in, and someone took a shot from like the top level, and there was like no one in the arena while the Miz was making his entrance. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It looked like they were just like rehearsing before the show even started, but this was the actual show. And then the Hardy Boys, they came all the way back for this. They must have thought they were back in TNA or something, wrestling in front of a crowd like that. I mean, come on, WWE. And then I feel bad for the Miz, because the Miz wanted to defend the Intercontinental title. He even took it to Instagram the other day. He was saying how he wanted to defend it, and it's not really his fault. And I don't blame the Miz. I don't blame him. You know what I mean? WWE was too lazy to actually give him a legitimate feud. I mean, it looked like they were going to give us Jason Jordan versus the Miz, which I really didn't want to see anyway. And it looks like we're going to get that at the next pay-per-view. But you know what I mean? They could have, the Intercontinental title, the only title not defended on the show last night. But the Hardy Boys and the Miz and everyone, Jason Jordan, they wrestled in front of an empty crowd. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. I mean, there were pictures going viral on the internet, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere, of just like the one part after the match, they had the cameras pan over to like the side where the hard cameras are on. And there was one guy standing there with his phone, and I think he was a guy who worked for like WWE's like social media team or something. And there was nobody else, just a bunch of empty chairs still, lined up, in rows back. There wasn't anyone even down. I don't even think people got to the floor until at least like an hour into the pre-show. So this was bad on WWE's part, and this isn't the first time this has happened. Go back to WrestleMania 32. We all remember that. There was about 3 matches or whatever. There was nobody in the crowd. They barely got people in. They need to book this stuff better. They need to open the doors earlier. I mean, it looked like they only had like 1 entrance at the Barclays Center. I mean, that didn't help, I guess. Not everybody had to enter through the thing. It looked packed out there. A lot of people were out there. I mean, it wasn't even until halfway through like the cruiserweight match that they got like the majority of the people in there. I mean, guys, during this Miz match with the Hardy Boys and everyone, there was at least, I would say about 20, not even 25% people in the arena filled. That's how empty it was. It was insane. I'd never seen it like this. It felt so weird watching it. And I really didn't even watch this match, to be honest with you guys. I just didn't have interest in it. This was one of those matches, for so many reasons, they should have just kept it off the card. But then again, they just wanted to get the Hardy Boys, the Miz, and everyone on the card, not to leave them off, because that's what they do. So, I mean, they just should have kept it off. They would have been better off not doing this match at all because they wrestled him basically in front of no one. Not many people probably watched it even on the network or whatever, on the pre-show or whatever they were watching it. So it was just, this was a bad start. Neville versus Tozawa was for the Cruiserweight Championship. This match was it was like 50% filled for the majority of this match, and then it wasn't until like the tag team match, the SmackDown Live tag team title match, that the arena was basically filled up. But this match, they were kind of like people were coming into the arena right during the middle of it. And this was actually a good back and forth match between Neville and Tozawa. I was able to watch this one. It definitely drew my interest more. And then, guys, I said it in my prediction video. They put the title back on Neville. I knew it. I just knew it. They do it all the time. Why did you even put the title on Tozawa back on Raw? It just didn't make any sense, if so ever, that they put the title on him. I just knew it because I've seen this 1,000 times before in WWE where they've given guys titles, but I just know. It's like you could just feel they're going to do something stupid and they're going to give it right back to him. Now, Neville had a lengthy, good, long run going with the title. He had the title since like Royal Rumble weekend. His run was good. He was like legit the only really good thing going in the Cruiserweight division. And then they just take the title off him and now they put it back on him. You know what I mean? They could have still had him just run. Like, why even have this match on Raw last week? It just angers me. I knew I'd be angry. I knew we'd be sitting here doing the SummerSlam review complaining about them putting the title back on Neville. And it's not that I don't want to see Neville with the title. I love Neville with the title. He's probably the best thing in the Cruiserweights. I would have much rather seen him just win on Raw or not even have that match on Raw. How simple is that? Not even have it. Bad booking on WWE's part there. But it was a good match, though. I enjoyed this match. It was actually a really good down-to-the-wire match. Speaking of good matches, the Usos and the New Day killed it. This was one of my favorite matches of the entire show last night. For a pre-show, this match was amazing. They definitely proved that this should have been on the main card. I mean, let's just say there was a handful of matches on the main card that I think would have been, weren't as good as the New Day versus the Usos. Same with Neville and Tozawa. Like, pre-show matches were better than the actual main card, majority of main card matches. The Usos and the New Day, really good match. This was really the Cruiserweight match in this one were both like down to the wire. You didn't know when it was going to end. It was like someone hit their finisher. 1, 2, kick out of 2.5. It was great stuff. I was like enjoying this. It was good wrestling. WWE was putting a smile on my face for once. And it was only the pre-show, so it was a sign of good things to come, which wasn't necessarily the case. But the Usos end up winning the titles back. So we have 2 titles change hands on the pre-show. The Usos take the titles back from the New Day. I don't think if WWE only put the title on the New Day back at the Battleground pay-per-view because that Battleground pay-per-view was so bad that they just had to do something to get the crowd into it. So they started the show like that, maybe to get like a hot start to the show. I mean, they shouldn't even have had that Battleground pay-per-view. The Usos probably still would have been champs at this moment in time and would have retained the titles last night. But they killed it out there, both teams. Hats off to them because that was a great match. So that's the pre-show. I mean, if you look at the pre-show, the only thing I was really pissed about is the first match and the fact that they didn't, like, people weren't in the arena. Like, I just hate that. It's bad for the people who paid tickets. I mean, I don't think people, you know what I mean? If you're going to the show, I don't think you're that pissed that you missed the first match. But, I mean, it is the Hardy Boys, it is the Miz, so you might be a real big Hardy Boys fan or the Miz fan or whatever, and you wanted to get in there to see that, and then next thing you know, you don't even get in to see it. You know what I mean? I mean, I wouldn't have been that pissed. I would have been pissed that I didn't get to see the Hardys or the Miz, but, like, I don't know. Like, the match didn't mean a whole lot to me. Really to anyone. I mean, we just saw this match on Raw. It didn't, I don't know, who cares? So that was overall, I kind of liked the pre-show. At least the second hour of it was pretty good. 2 good, really good matches, and we saw 2 titles change hands. So now we get to the main card. The main card, the 4-hour plus, I mean, actually kind of went about 4 hours exact. Ended about right after 11, a little bit like an episode of Raw or whatever. But they opened the show with John Cena and Baron Corbin, a match that I did not care about. So I was happy that they were getting this out of the way, and it was a trend that they continued. They got all these matches that I could give 2 shits about out of the way on the main card. They were just like piling up, just nothing, the matches I was just like, I was saying in my prediction video that I didn't really care for, should have been like, just got them out of the way, and it was like I was loving it, one match after another. Cena versus Corbin, it actually was better than I predicted. I thought it would be kind of a real just boring match, but it was somewhat good, little interest in it. But Baron Corbin, rest in peace. He is done. Forget his push, anything. Dude, they have buried him. Those comments he's made on Twitter or whatever, he got into an argument with some fan or whatever, and then he got into something with Dave Meltzer or something. WWE must really not be happy with that. I mean, to the point where they took the briefcase on him and then had him lose to John Cena. Boy, oh, he is done. I mean, there's nothing they can do. They've legit buried Baron Corbin. Corbin has to be pissed. You could tell he actually seemed like he was like really pissed last night. The crowd was really getting on him. You know, where's your briefcase chance and everything. So, I mean, he's done, though. Cena picks up the win. Solid match. Good opener for the show overall. Better than what I predicted, but I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, nothing real special, you know? As for John Cena, will we see him on Raw tonight? He is advertised for the show, so possibly we see Cena on Raw tonight because he is still free agent. You know, that stupid whole free agent role he's playing, which is just, I don't like it at all. I hate how, you know, you have the brand split, but then you have guys going between shows. It just doesn't make any sense. So then you get another match. We get the next match, another match that I just didn't really care for really at all. Naomi and Natalya for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And this match was kind of better than what I thought, too. I really just thought these matches were going to be awful, to be honest with you. They weren't great. They ended up being, like, solid. And this was okay. And then they do the surprising thing. They put the title on Natalya. I did not see this coming. And I thought immediately when she won the title, I'm like, Carmella's cashing in. They're not going to actually give Natalya a run here. Because the build for this match was awful. They didn't do anything for this. They legit did nothing. It's like they didn't care about it. You know what I mean? This match, I said it before, this should have been on the pre-show. But Natalya wins the title. I'm not the biggest Natalya fan, but I thought this was her first title win in WWE. But apparently they were saying she's won the Divas Championship once, like 6 years ago or whatever. I do not remember that because I was watching 6 years ago. But I thought this was her first title win ever. So, I mean, it's nice to see her finally win. To be honest, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with this. Let's just say that. The match itself was okay. I don't know. I really thought Carmella would cash in, though. But I guess not. I guess they're going to keep the briefcase on her. Being that, you know, Corbin don't have the briefcase anymore, they want to keep the briefcase, the whole Money in the Bank thing going for a little bit longer. I don't know how long, but maybe this Tuesday. A lot of people are already speculating that this Tuesday we could see a cash in. Who knows? But we'll see where they go from here. But the show overall, like, it just, I don't know. The crowd was solid, to be honest. The crowd, I feel like WWE overall, the show, they killed the crowd in the beginning. I felt like by the time the stuff started getting good, because they really got a lot of the shit out of the way in the beginning, and then they started putting on the good stuff somewhat. The crowd was almost like just dead from like the stuff they were putting on. Especially the next match I'm going to talk about, Big Cass versus the Big Show. And guys, I said that I would just, you know, go get something to eat or whatever during this match, and not even really look at the TV. And I did that. I was not paying attention at all during this match. I just needed a break because I'd already watched like 2 hours of the pre-show, 2 matches on the main show. I needed a break. I was like, this is the perfect opportunity. Big Cass ends up picking up the win. I don't know. I came back in the room, and then Enzo was somehow out of the shark cage. I don't know what the hell happened. He must have. I saw he like slipped himself through or whatever. And Cass gets the win. Nothing surprising here. It just, I don't even. That's all. I'm gonna just go right by this. There's nothing to talk about here. Big Show and Big Cass. It's what it was expected to be, basically. So that the crowd is just dead. They were chanting boring during the match. I don't blame them one bit. I mean, this match was pre-show worthy too. So that's 3 matches in. 4 matches in now. We get Randy Orton versus Rusev. I'm like, this is great. They're actually like just legit getting the garbage out of the way. Randy Orton versus Rusev. Nobody cared about this match. And what they ended up doing was just weird. Randy Orton comes out. He does his entrance. He's up there doing his pose on the top rope. And then Rusev comes through the crowd and attacks Orton. They get into a brawl. Then the referee starts the match. Orton hits 1 RKO. The match goes for about a minute long. Orton picks up the win. Rusev's done. Corbin is done. Those guys are both dead. They're done. They've done. I said Rusev needs this win. I mean, it could have at least been a good back-and-forth match for about 10-15 minutes long, and Rusev maybe would have lost, and I'd be still pissed somewhat. But they just buried Rusev. There must be backstage heat on Rusev, too, or something, because they buried him. They legit just buried him. I mean, I'm not going to lie. That RKO was pretty nasty. I liked it. That was one of the nastiest RKOs I've ever seen. But Rusev's done. So they're just, I don't know what that guy, that's one of the things I just don't even want to look back. That was awful. Why did they even do that? Like, that was just pointless, whatever. I don't know. So the crowd's dead at this point, guys. the WWE, I don't blame them one bit, the crowd, for being like dead at this point. They're just past. I mean, they got the Big Show versus Big Cass, and they get Orton picking up a win over Rusev in 5 seconds. They've given up. People were probably already thinking about leaving the show. So then WWE tries to pick up the momentum, maybe get something going here. Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss for the Raw Women's Championship, which was a really good match, but like I said, the crowd was dead, so it kind of felt weird because I was like enjoying it, and I was like, but the crowd just didn't seem into it, and I'm like, WWE killed them from all the 4 matches they put on before this. So nonetheless, it was a good match. I thought the ending just didn't make any sense. It kind of came out of nowhere. A lot of matches last night, there was no like build toward that end of the match. There were so many matches where it just felt like the match just ended, and it was like, what? Like isn't there still, like, it felt like there just should have been more to it. And this was one of them. Sasha Banks ends up picking up the win, winning her 4th women's championship. Like I said, I liked the match. The ending was kind of crazy. I thought Sasha actually really hurt her shoulder or something. She landed like awkwardly on the mat outside the ring, and it just seemed real. So I don't know. And I was really having while I was seeing her win the title, I was really having flashbacks to last year at SummerSlam, Finn Balor doing the same thing. Like, she couldn't even like lift it, but I don't think it's anything wrong with it. I think it's just nothing serious. So that's good news. At least we think. You never know, but I was just having flashbacks of like Finn Balor last year, where he couldn't even like lift his arm, and then he had to relinquish the title the next night, and that whole story again. But nonetheless, a good match, weird ending. Sasha picks up the win. She's the new champion. So it will be interesting to see where they go from here with the women's title on Raw. And then this next match keeps the trend going of weird finishes. Finn Balor and Bray Wyatt. Finn Balor's entrance, nonetheless, we get the Demon entrance. Amazing. One of the best entrances in the business when he does it. I thought WWE ditched the name where they were calling him like the Demon King. Remember that last year? I thought they ditched it and they were just going to call him the Demon Finn Balor, but apparently I heard Michael Cole or something say Demon King. I don't know if it was just by accident or they're really going to start calling him that. I hate it how they call him that because it just sounds like they're saying the Demon King, not King. And it just gets confusing so badly. So I don't understand. I mean, on here, on the WWE.com, it's listed as the Demon Finn Balor, not the Demon King Finn Balor. So maybe that was just Michael Cole or whatever. I mean, that was the only time I heard it. So hopefully they stick with that. But Balor's entrance was amazing. Bray Wyatt, they put on a good match. I figured there's no way Bray Wyatt picks up the win here. I mean, they had a match on Raw. Wyatt picked up the win. It was just a guarantee that Balor would win this match, and he did win the match. This match felt quick and rushed too. I mean, this just, like I said, it continued that trend of just like kind of like that's it. Like, I expected much more toward the end of the match, and it was just like they just ended it. Like, Balor hit the coup de grace, and it was 1, 2, 3. I was like, oh wow, it's over already. So Balor picks up the win in another quick match. So the 2 matches that were solid, the women's match for the Raw title, and then Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, both solid matches with quick endings though. I don't know if I like that. So then I'm looking at the thing, I'm like, why are they doing these quick endings? It was only like 9 o'clock, and I was like looking at the card, and there's only 4 matches left. I'm like, they have almost, they can go about at least 2 more plus hours. So what are they going to do, give us half-an-hour matches now? That's basically what they ended up doing, because Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Cesaro, Sheamus for the Raw tag titles. This match killed it. I loved this match. This was one of my favorite parts of the show last night. It just was amazing. I loved Cesaro going in the crowd and taking the beach ball and popping it. That was full heel move right there. I loved that. That was one of my favorite parts of the thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's just full heel. He went full heel on that. But Ambrose and Rollins pick up the win the Raw titles. It was expected that they'd win the titles, so I'm not surprised by them winning it. It was cool to see them win the titles. I mean, who would have thought a month ago Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins would be winning the Raw Tag Team Championships at SummerSlam? But we get that, a good match. I mean, this match definitely had like a build toward the end, and it had a great ending. It was back and forth, unpredictable. Didn't really know who was going to win. It was like one cool spot after another. So, I mean, props off to them for that. There was one part of the match where Seth Rollins went over the top rope, and he got some serious elevation, and he came down. I cringed so hard. I thought he was going to like snap his knee again or something. I was like, oh no. He came down so hard on it. He was like jumped over or something. I think he was like gonna like do like some springboard or something outside the ring onto someone, and someone moved out of the way and he just landed on his feet. I really thought he was gonna like snap. It was like, thank God nothing happened there with that. That would have been a disaster. But nonetheless, great match. New champs. great. Just everything was good about it. I love this match. This was one of my favorite parts of the show. Next, we have AJ Styles and Kevin Owens for the United States Championship with Shane McMahon as a special guest referee. This match was also good. I knew this match. I mean, this was like, remember Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn last year? Every time they stepped in the ring, it did not disappoint. It was always something good and entertaining, a good wrestling match. AJ Styles has that like same chemistry with Kevin Owens. They just get in that ring and they just put on immediate gold every time. As we expected, Shane McMahon got himself involved. Well, got involved in the match in some way. Didn't necessarily get himself involved, but there were multiple points in the match where his role was influencing the result of the match. But in the end of the day, Styles picks out the win, and they're really gonna give us Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon sometime very soon. Probably Survivor Series. Some people were saying maybe they'll do like a 5-on-5 elimination, Team KO versus Team Shane at Survivor Series. But we're definitely gonna get that match. This match definitely built for it. As for Styles, he picks up the win, retains the title. So I'm guessing, this Tuesday we'll see him get a new feud or something, move on from his feud with Kevin Owens. Hopefully he gets a good feud. I want to see him go against someone else, not not someone we usually see. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe Mike Kanellis. That would be perfect right there. Get Mike Kanellis in a legitimate feud. Give him a shot at the United States Championship against AJ Styles. But I think another thing we got to put into mind is SmackDown don't have a pay-per-view until October. So that's a little bit of a problem. That means you're going to see, the next few weeks. This week might be good because it's the fallout from SummerSlam. But, the next 2-3 weeks after this might be pretty boring SmackDowns because they're just really so far away from a pay-per-view that they really can't even start building toward it yet. SmackDown did have a pay-per-view last year. It was, in the second week of September, Backlash. But they're not even doing a pay-per-view then. The next pay-per-view is Hell in a Cell. It's October 8th, I think. We still have 5 weeks alone until the Raw pay-per-view. SmackDown's got 7 or 8 weeks or whatever until that pay-per-view. So I'm a little worried about that, but we'll see where it goes. But anyway, that match was great. So they're back-to-back really good matches. Then we get Jinder Mahal, the WWE title on the line against Shinsuke Nakamura. Mahal retains the title. People were outraged by this, to be honest. And I don't know why people were, because I really thought it wouldn't have been a good idea to put the title on Nakamura. As much as I wanted to see Nakamura win as a fan of the company, and of Nakamura, I just felt like the better decision, though, for a long-term story or whatever, would just not be putting the title on Nakamura yet. It just wouldn't have made much sense. So I'm happy and not happy at the same time that they didn't do it. And they gave it to Mahal. A lot of people that were crazy outraged, why would they have Nakamura lose to Mahal? I think sometimes we're still forgetting that Mahal is the WWE champion, and he's not the same guy from 3MB a few years ago. So that's that. Speaking of 3MB, how about this? Jinder Mahal is the WWE champion. Drew McIntyre is the NXT champion. All we need is Heath Slater to win the Universal Championship or something, and then look at that. Let's talk about an improvement. 3MB's come a long way from where they used to be. The jobber team to, champions. But nothing. I wasn't surprised necessarily by Mahal winning, though. Let me just say that. I wasn't surprised. I saw it coming. I was a little pissed, though. As a fan, I was pissed to see, Nakamura lose to Mahal. I really want to see Nakamura win. But it wasn't interesting. It wasn't a great match. It was okay. It was kind of what I expected. It didn't really, it wasn't complete garbage, but it wasn't, best match of the night, caliber or whatever either. Alright, main event time. The big, much anticipated fatal 4-way match for the Universal Championship between Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman. Now, I felt like at this point of the show, this match needed to be good, because I felt like if this match disappointed and it was just a real boring kind of match, that I would have really just, shit on this show badly. But this match definitely, like I said, this show started off, the pre-show was good. There were 2 good matches on the pre-show. And then I would say I like their strategy, though, of kind of getting all the garbage matches on the main card out of the way in the beginning, and then kind of giving you the good stuff. If you look at it, really, from the Sasha Banks Alexa Bliss match up until the main event, it was kind of stuff I was looking forward to, and I was not looking forward to the first 4 matches on the main card. So I like their little strategy there. It killed the crowd, though. It must have been kind of awful to be, like, at the show or whatever, having to sit through, like, that, the first 4 matches or whatever. But, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. It's different when you're at the show anyway. I don't know. People were probably enjoying it or whatever. They didn't know what the hell was going on. But, main event. Lesnar, Reigns, Joe, Strowman. This match, the rumors were swirling that The Undertaker could show up. Everybody was saying, The Undertaker's going to show up. I had multiple videos up about it. I really thought it was going to happen, too. I felt like it was at the point where it's like, he's got to show up or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't necessarily want to see him show up because I was like, it would just make WrestleMania seem like, nothing. It would be pointless. You know what I mean? Like, so much for the retirement. So, I'm happy that we did not end up seeing The Undertaker show up and interfere in this match because they didn't need it. This match was amazing, guys. Match of the year candidate right here. We'll definitely, when it comes to the end of the year, you'll definitely see this on list for match of the year in WWE. This match was off the charts good. I feel like at the point where Lesnar ended up getting on the stretcher and gotten taken out of the arena, I felt like right then and there it was like, Lesnar's going to win this thing. We've seen this before. Flashback to 2015 Royal Rumble, John Cena, Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. Remember that story. I don't think Lesnar ended up getting stretched out of the arena, but they played it to where he was, like, out of it, like he wasn't even, like, in contention anymore, where it was over right by the announce tables, like, last night. That he was down, he was, like, really hurt, but he got right back up and came in that ring and just started suplexing everyone, like, 100 times and won the title. They could play that, they did play that role again last night, where he just looked like he was injured, and then they took him out. And, no, this is a little different. I don't normally complain about stuff like this, but I don't know if everyone noticed it. What an awful job by those EMTs last night getting Lesnar onto that stretcher. I get it. Those guys that were doing that were probably not even real EMTs. I don't think, hey, think about it. With the recent pay cuts, WWE probably can't even afford, real EMTs to play the role of the EMT on TV or whatever. But they did an awful job getting Lesnar onto that stretcher. It looked so bad. He was laying like halfway on it when they started taking him out. They didn't even have like the neck piece on right, and it was just like, oh my God, this is awful. This was just not. I don't know if everyone really noticed this, but it was just like one of those things. It was so bad that I even noticed it, and I don't even normally notice stuff like that. It was just like, why are they doing it like this bad? It's not even to the point where it was like, some small things you notice. It was just awful job, making it look real there or whatever. Come on, man. But nonetheless, they take him out. He comes back as expected. Of course he was going to come back. It wasn't like they were just going to end the match without him. Comes back and does what I expect. He comes in, starts suplexing everyone, I felt like he didn't even hit that many F5s. I think he only hit like 1 or 2 F5s last night or something in that match, but he ends up picking up the win. So Lesnar is not leaving WWE. He will remain. I'm not surprised that he won. I thought he would win. I did think there was a good chance someone else won, but that's why I like the unpredictableness of this match. But Lesnar retains the title, so Lesnar ain't leaving WWE anytime soon. Still the champion. The only thing I'm not happy about with him retaining the title is that he's probably going to disappear for like 4 months, and we're not going to see him until like Survivor Series again or something. So, I don't know. I hope he shows up, but he is advertised for the No Mercy pay-per-view September 24th, which is a Raw pay-per-view. So, hopefully we see him there and he defends the title. I don't know who he's going to defend against. I assume it will probably be a one-on-one match against probably one of the 3 men that he took on last night, either Strowman, Joe, or Reigns. But I'm sure, hopefully we see him then. I hope he does not disappear. I'm sure we'll see him on Raw tonight too. Definitely he'll show up then. He'll probably show up on Raw tonight, disappear for about 3 weeks, and then show up with about 2 weeks till the pay-per-view or something like that. 2-3 weeks to then. But good match. This match was great. There were so many great spots. I loved Strowman throwing the chair again like he did on Raw a few weeks ago. That was great. And they took out all the announce tables. They wrecked ringside. It was a mess. They were barely in the ring for at least the majority of the match. I would say at least like 65% of the match. They were outside the ring, over by the announce tables, just they were spears through barricades. Guys were going through tables. Steel steps were getting thrown everywhere. Chairs were getting thrown everywhere. This was a showdown right here. This was what it lived up to the expectations. It even lived up higher than them. It definitely should have been the main event. This is probably my favorite part of the show last night. It saved the show for me because I didn't want to go turning the show off on a bad note. I wanted to go out on a good high note, an enjoyable note, to at least be happy about the ending of the show, and I was happy. Like I said, not the biggest fan of Lesnar retaining. I would have loved to have seen someone else like Joe or Strowman win the title, but the match was so good that I don't even care that Lesnar retained, to be honest. So it was a great main event. The show overall, as for a rating out of 10, I feel like just because it had so much nonsense, I want to give it a better rating than what you know what I mean. Like I am gonna end up giving it, but it just had so much nonsense on the show that it felt like I'm only gonna be able to give it like a 6 out of 10. But you take away some of this filler, this show may be like a 7.5, close to an 8 if you take away all the filler and stuff. I mean, you get rid of Randy Orton versus Rusev, Big Cass versus Big Show. Say you swap them two matches out for the Cruiserweight match that was on the pre-show and the Usos and the New Day match. Say you just swap them two matches out and put them two matches on the main card. I'm giving this show maybe like a 7.5 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. It definitely ups my rating a little bit, because it would just have helped the show much more. The fact that the other stuff was on the pre-show. And as for my overall rating on the show, I don't know if I would say I'm including the pre-show. There's just so much that happened on the main card that I don't think the pre-show even really impacts it. I don't know. I might have, if it wasn't for those two good matches on the pre-show, I might have given it a little bit of a lower rating, maybe like a 5.5 out of 10 or something like that. But I thought the show was decent. It was better than last year, that's for sure. Last year was abysmal. Thank God it was not as bad. Last year might have been like the worst SummerSlam I've ever seen, but this year was pretty decent. I'll say that. I don't want to say great, but it was pretty decent. I enjoyed a lot of stuff on the show last night. But it was a 7-hour plus show, so there was a lot to enjoy, but there was also a lot to hate at the same time on this show last night. So that's basically it for my review, guys. NXT I thought was obviously better than SummerSlam. SummerSlam was basically what I thought it would be. I just figured it would have its goods, it would have its downs, but it wouldn't be, I didn't think they were going to knock it out of the park great like they did with WrestleMania. WrestleMania, they really knocked it out of the park great. We weren't anticipating much, kind of having that same feeling going into Mania that we had in the SummerSlam, but I just didn't have that feeling they were going to go crazy good with this show. I thought it would be decent, it would have goods, it would have bads, and it would kind of just be a decent show. That's it. So that's basically it, though, guys. Let me know what you thought of the SummerSlam pay-per-view, 2017 SummerSlam pay-per-view, in the comment section below. Go on over to Twitter. Follow me over there. The link, you know where it is. It is in the description, as always. And that's basically it. I'll see you tonight or tomorrow for my Monday Night Raw review and maybe some news videos later today. There's, a bunch of news could come out later today. It's the day after SummerSlam. So we'll see if there's any big news or whatever. I'll have a video on that if there is. But if not that, no news videos come out. Raw review right here on the Glorious Podcast. So yeah, let me know what you thought of the show below. Follow me on Twitter, like, subscribe, and I'll see you then.